Hello, this is the Crushed Monocle Podcast, Unplugged edition. I'm never gonna not laugh when I say that. I am your host, Coop, and I am joined here by
me, Jon. Hi,
Jon, owner of beardedgentlemanmusic.com, my co-host, and we're here to talk about some of the stuff we don't have time to talk about on our actual podcast. These are little bonus episodes to entice you to listen to our real show.
Right.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about the new Ty West horror movie from A24 called X.
Yes. Yeah.
We are going to talk a little bit about spoilers, and the movie's been out for God knows how long, so who cares?
Yeah. I mean, it's close to at least 2-3 weeks so far. At least it's like most of the theaters, right? Like March 18th, I think, is when it drops. So
yeah, I think it's coming out to stream in a couple of weeks anyway. So
yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, it is a horror movie set in 1979 about a group of people filming a porn movie in a farm with some two weird old people, and slasher movie antics ensue.
Yes.
Jon, what did you like about this movie?
So at first, I'll be honest, like I didn't know that who Ty West was, even though I've seen like the majority of his movies.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch this movie and talk about it, I was like, I started watching it, and as I was watching it, like pulled up the Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, Ty West, and I was like, I know that guy. And so he did that. I can't remember the movie specific. I'm looking up The House of the Devil. I fucking love that movie.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. And so as I was like watching it and looked that up, like it felt really similar to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm not sure he's done that as hardcore in previous or like movies in between.
Right.
Yeah. So I really liked it. Overall. What about you? Like, did you have anything?
I like the movie as a movie. I think some of the making of it is where I have the most issues.
Okay.
I'll just get in that really quick because it's
go for
part
it.
of the film. A24 is kind of like this hipster production company. They do a lot of like elevated horror, as they call it, or that's kind of their gimmick, is kind of stuff that other studios aren't doing.
Right.
So in saying that, I feel that studios like that kind of look down on slasher films.
Okay.
All of their horror movies have like that twist.
You're talking about like Hereditary and just stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, everything A24 does has that vibe, and that's cool.
Right.
I really, really like that.
Right.
But if you're going to do a movie that's an elevated slasher movie, X doesn't do anything we haven't already seen in 5 billion other slasher movies.
Okay.
If he's paying tribute to those other movies, which clearly he does, especially Tobe Hooper and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I mean, he's outright said that in interviews as I've recently.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're given the opportunity to make a high budget movie with all these resources, these actors, I mean, even for a slasher movie, this is kind of generic beyond parody.
Okay.
But as a film itself, it's fine. It's cool.
I mean, the twist with like the older people like being, I guess we're just going full spoilers.
Yeah, just go spoilers.
Okay. Like that's something that I kind of wasn't expecting, with the fact that like this lady's kind of like sex crazed or whatever, and then like takes it out on these like sex workers basically.
Yeah.
I wasn't like expecting that. I feel like that's maybe something that combines like Jason's mom with like, I don't know, just like some religious fanatic or something, what I mean?
Right. I mean, it has a lot of throwbacks to a bunch of different slasher movies, not just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the giant alligator is a lot like another Tobe Hooper movie. I wrote it down. I can never remember the name of it, but Eaten Alive.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, if you like this, you'll like that one.
Okay.
It was Hooper's next movie right after Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has a giant alligator into it. It has this preacher dude that calls like, just tries to have a bunch of people killed for being, So there's a lot of throwbacks, and I like that. But I still think that It's the missed opportunities, I think, with the movie that gives me the most issues.
Okay.
The movie itself, what we got's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
it's well acted. I love the cast, especially Brittany Snow.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like she's kind of like cringy, you know. You're like, oh, Brittany Snow, but then you're like, oh, she's so good in this one.
Yeah. I thought she was great. She was probably my favorite in the movie. I think all the elements I didn't like were just missed opportunities, and I feel that coming from A24, those opportunities should be explored.
Okay.
My first one, not just to hog this whole conversation, but
no, you're fine.
With the opportunity using the adult film industry, I hate that they kind of did it in the tropey kind of way.
Okay.
You know,
explain like what do you mean by like what
it just felt very music video, like they're in the porn business, so they're completely sleazy garbage people kind of.
Okay.
Maybe not garbage people, but that cartoony kind of way, kind of like the first half of Boogie Nights compared to the second half.
So that's what I was about to say. Coincidentally, I just like threw on Boogie Nights last night, and like I thoroughly enjoy that movie up until like I love the movie overall, but like the build up to like success, like that first half of that movie, is so good.
Yeah,
and then it becomes like really hard to watch, and it's still a really good movie, but you know, like
it's real dark,
the firecracker stuff, and like you know, just all the crazy situations they put themselves into.
It's really dark and more probably closer to reality.
No shit.
So coming from A24, I would expect it to be from that kind of angle,
right?
Not crapping on Ty West. It's his film, and you know, it's nothing like that. But I felt there was an opportunity there. They set up a lot of stuff that I felt that they didn't explore that would have elevated that, like the naive director. You know, he keeps talking about like, oh, I want to make this a better. You know, it's got to be art, you know? Yeah. So coming from a director, like he should have explored that a little bit more instead of just kind of making him the throwaway guy who gets killed kind of first. They even have this big conversation about why porn isn't bad.
Right.
And that should have been like the meat and potatoes of the story. But it's kind of this weird, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying like it could have been more of like a major plot point as opposed to like just kind of throwaway like subplot kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, as the movie starts, it's a found footage movie. Like, oh, we've got this camera. Well, only thing that's on that camera is porn. It's not nothing that happened. Yeah. Nothing gets filmed of anybody getting murdered.
Yeah.
So it's kind of pointless that they have all that stuff.
I know, and as I was kind of thinking that a little bit. It's like they find the camera right at the end, right? Like, but what is actually on that? Just like 3 sex scenes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like big deal.
Like, you know? Yeah.
And they even go as far as kind of hinting that the video industry is going to change the way people look at adult films because now it's not going to be in theaters, it's going to be at home.
Right.
So like that should have been an angle they should have explored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of a throwaway line. It's just really an excuse to get them to the barn.
Right.
Also, the religious symbolism is like so freaking tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, the whole idea of like the overall plot of like sex workers being punished by religious people, and then I also kind of had an issue with how, what's his name, Jackson Holes,
Cuddy or whatever his name is,
how he was like killed because like he got shot by the racist guy.
Yeah.
Like right point blank in the chest as he was trying to help the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they're not going to elevate anything else, could they at least elevate the kills?
Right.
Because even the kills are pretty tame.
Yeah, I mean, the first one where she just like goes to town on his throat and then like stands up and is covered in blood, and Chelsea Wolfe comes in and she's just like all like, that shit. Come on, that was a cool scene. I was like, that's fucking cool. Like,
but it peaked there, and that's not even the halfway point into the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone goes wild over Jenna Ortega. I think that, you know, she's been in 3 or 4 horror movies here in the last 2 months.
Right. Yeah.
I think she was a wasted opportunity. You know.
Yeah.
She just basically just kind of screams, and
that's
kind of about it.
I mean, of the 3 like younger, you know, or of the 3 female actresses.
Yeah.
You know, she was definitely like the weakest link. You know, I thought Mia Goth was really good for like. Yeah. Even though she didn't have like a ton of lines, you know, like she still was like pretty good, I thought.
As that girl, but as the old lady, she was fantastic.
Oh yeah, for sure. But and like you said, Brittany Snow I thought was probably the most like engaging character.
Yep.
Out of the cast.
The guy, the producer, not the director, but the producer with the cowboy hat. I kept like, why didn't they get like Matthew McConaughey?
Dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, this is mad. It's like they couldn't afford McConaughey, so they got this guy.
He was great, but I mean, like, come on, give me some of that McConaughey.
Yeah.
I like the director, the naive director, but being that this is a studio film, this would have been a perfect opportunity to talk about how directors get screwed over, not literally, but figuratively. Right. And that was kind of the arc of his character, how he didn't want his girlfriend to be into the movie, and then just a lot of missed opportunities.
You definitely could have like grinded on that a little bit more about how they had that weird confrontation about how the boyfriend spends all this time telling his girlfriend, "Don't be a prude," and then the actors are like, sex is just sex, like it is what it is, But then when the opportunity arises, she's like, "I want to be in this movie," and he totally loses it, or like. It could have been like a big subplot all into its own too, where it just kind of like went quick and like
it should have been explored earlier if they weren't going to go any further with it.
Right.
Okay. Now some of the things that I didn't like about the movie.
Okay. Here we go. Okay.
I'll make this quick because I've already kind of the things I like or what I kind of don't like. It's not very subtle, and it pretends to be subtle.
Okay.
Like the whole thing with the fleeting youth and the being desirable. Like they beat it over your friggin' head from the start of the movie. And then that's the point of the movie. Right. And then they have this full awkward performance of Landslide in the middle.
Oh, I know. That threw me off so bad. I was like,
it was so corny. And then like the old lady brushing her hair. It's like, yeah, we know she wants to be young and desirable again. You've already said this 5 million times. Do we need this horrible Disney Channel version of Landslide?
Yeah, that caught me off guard. I was like, I know Brittany Snow like sings, but I don't really need her to sing in this movie.
And the full song?
Yeah.
And then like Kid Cudi's playing the guitar. He's not even playing it similar to how the real, like it's so corny and fake. Like,
I will say that beyond the Landslide like cover, whatever, like I thought the soundtrack was good.
That's one of the greater, that and the cinematography are on point.
Like the soundtrack felt very similar, at least from song choices of like Rob Zombie movies, but like, I still appreciated it. You know what I mean? Like,
right. The movie that kind of goes into something else I was going to say, it's supposed to take place in 1979 or 78, and it looks more like 68 or 69.
Oh, as far as like clothing or like
whatever. The aesthetic and the music and stuff, and it was kind of like it didn't really need it. And like, do we have to have every movie taking place back then to beat us over our head with "Don't Fear the Reaper"?
Yeah. I mean,
this dude's getting ready to leave, and he's all emotionally charged, and he's blasting "Don't Fear the Reaper." Like, you would freaking radio down when you're trying to leave. But it's just for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so on the nose, but it's pretending not to be on the nose.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think that they're tributes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I feel like this is a movie made for and by someone who knows that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is important, but they've never actually watched it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I almost view it as like, regardless if you like these movies or not, but like it's almost like what Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with like the Grindhouse stuff. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's a love letter to those.
Yeah. Like, we're very much not going to hide that this is the influence, and it just kind of is what it is. So, I mean, it didn't bother me. One thing I will, are you done with like there's one thing I wanted to like talk about real quick. I'm pretty excited about, like, after watching the movie and researching it, that it's going to be at least like a trilogy situation.
Right.
You know? Like, I'm really intrigued about the adaptations and the influence that he's going to kind of attribute for like the prequel and like the time setting that it's, supposedly set in. And then obviously I have no idea what the sequel is supposed to be, but I'm just interested to see like what like influences he's just going to totally, shoot off of, you know what I mean?
I like that too. And I think he'll nail it. I mean, this movie's good. He nailed what he was trying to do.
Right.
I'm just saying that given the resources and the cast and everything he was given with this movie, literally anyone could have made this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think there's anything of his that's really stamped as a director. Everything distinctive in this movie is just Tobe Hooper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even visually, there's a lot of shots that's ripped completely from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it felt more like the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre than the original.
But just like Ty West doesn't necessarily have like this original style to him, though. At least, you know what I mean? Like he's kind of like and I don't mean to shit on him because
I'm not either. Yeah,
movies at least, and I'm like, have I seen these other ones? And I feel like I need to like watch, like, oh yeah, I've seen this, you know, or whatever. But you know, I guess it's like just a director to make like a solid movie without necessarily having this like style or whatever. Like I'm much more invested in like the stuff he does now that I've seen this and associate it with like some of his previous movies that like I enjoyed. You know what I mean?
I full on agree. I think he's a great filmmaker. I love everyone involved in this. Yeah. I just felt like I didn't hate it. This is not a bad review. I just think there's a lot of missed opportunities that probably should have been explored and that probably would have made it elevated, because this movie's not very elevated. It's just it's a broad slasher movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's kind of arty looking though, which is nice.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's got the budget that horror movies don't get. But if we're going to give these things bigger budgets and resources, can we please give other indie filmmakers resources and budgets?
Okay.
Because they can make something really, really special.
Okay. All right. Rate it out of 5 stars. Like, how many stars would you
give it? Out of 5, I'd give it a 4.
You give it a 4?
For what it is, yeah.
Okay.
I'd give it a 4.
I would give it a 4 too, while feeling like that I'm a lot more positive overall about the movie than you are.
I mean, that's the same thing with the Batman review.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I love horror. Support theatrical horror. Support indie filmmakers. So it was good to actually see a theatrical horror film that was not a sequel to Scream. This was way better than Scream.
Oh yeah.
This was better than a lot of the horror movies that I've seen recently. So. Yep. Can't wait to see Pearl whenever it comes out. Listen to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts, or at the website beardedgentlemanmusic.com. I'm Coop.
I'm Jon.
That's Jon. This has been Crushed Monocle Podcast Unplugged. All right, thanks, folks.